Dr. Guha Vishwanath MVG, who is an adjunct professor in the Department of Heritage Sciences and Technology at IIT Hyderabad. He is going to talk about the art of decision making under pressure, timeless lessons from Kirātārjunīyam and Śiśupālavadham, Mahākāvyas. Audience, if you have any questions, there is a question and answer box. You may type in your questions there, and if the questions are suitable and good questions suitable for the talk, as long as they are focused on the talk only, we will read out those questions and the speakers are going to respond to those questions. Now, let me introduce Dr. Guha Vishwanath. Dr. Guha Vishwanath MV is a versatile Sanskrit scholar and educator based in Mysore, India, recognized for his multilingual instruction of Sanskrit Shastras and deep expertise in Vedic literature, Indian philosophy, astrology, and classical Sanskrit poetics. He currently serves as adjunct professor at the Department of Heritage Sciences at IIT Hyderabad and is the chief astrology consultant at Vivek Spiritual Sutra Private Limited, besides leading a research project on Ramakatha funded by the Ministry of Education. Dr. Vishwanath holds a PhD from Banaras Hindu University with research focused on discourse in the Valmiki Ramayana and multiple postgraduate degrees in Sanskrit literature and Jyotisha with distinction. Over his academic career, he has taught at esteemed universities including Kameshwar Singh Darbhanga Sanskrit University and Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, and has provided independent instruction in Vedas, poetics, and astrology since 2005. His research portfolio includes project leadership, publications of scholarly articles and books, and ongoing work translating significant Sanskrit texts into regional languages. He also is active participant and convener in numerous national and international seminars. Dr. Vishwanath is also associated with institutions and yoga foundations worldwide, offering advanced lectures in Upanishads, yoga, and Sankhya philosophy. His core skills encompass advanced Jyotisha analysis, Sanskrit literature, and curriculum design, while his creative pursuits include publishing audiovisual content and participation in traditional and modern knowledge dissemination. Dr. Vishwanath's dynamic involvement in academic, spiritual, and literary circles demonstrates a rare blend of scholarship, pedagogy, and community engagement. Over to you, Guha Vishwanath ji. Dr. Guha Vishwanath ji, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Apadam dataram sarvasampadam lokabhiramam shriramam bhuyo bhuyo namamyaham. Namah Shukra Brihaspatibhyam. A warm welcome to everybody. So the topic is the decision making under pressure. So the art of making decisions. We are not new to pressure. We are not new to making decisions either. So, and we have been making decisions under pressure. Not just as an individual, we have witnessed decisions being made on behalf of the public under pressure as well. And we have seen certain contrasts in the kind of decisions that have been made over the past few years. However, this is timeless lessons that we can learn from these two Mahakavyas. Basically, when we hear Kavyas in the perspective of Indian knowledge systems, whenever we go through Kavyas, we think that Kavyas are meant for only entertainment purpose. They are only there to propagate rasa, bhava, and some emotions, and also at the same time some descriptions, nature descriptions, and other things. So Kavyas are not only dedicated or curtailed to only this purpose. Kavyas have a better purpose to serve. And it has been very well laid out in the critical works like Sahitya Darpana, Chaturvarga Phalaprapti Sukhadalpadhiyamapi Kavyadeva. So he very clearly mentions the Chaturvarga Phalaprapti, which has been the cornerstone of the Indian mindset or the Bharatiya perspective, solely rests on the Chaturvarga Phalaprapti or Chaturbhadramayam Jivanam. So if not the Purushartha Chatushtayam, if we are not leading a life worthy enough to accomplish all the four Purusharthas, then that life and that lifestyle needs to be questioned. Therefore, Kavyas also are in alignment with all these things. There needs to be a different mindset to read the Bharatiya Kavyas from a Bharatiya perspective. It should not be only kind of put down saying that there are metaphors, there are similes, there is the style. It is not only for that, it serves a bigger purpose. And we see in various works, in various critical works of at advanced stages like Anandavardhana and other Abhinavagupta and other people, they have truly highlighted the importance of ensuring that the Ramadivat Vartitavyam Naravanadivat should be at the core. Upadesha Yuje should not be compromised. But the way we are going to deliver the Upadesha can be slightly different. It is a Kanta Sammitataya. So, with keeping that Kanta Samhita in mind, there are many, many such kavyas which actually bring out plenty of ideas related to various fields of Indian knowledge systems. Why particularly Śiśupālavadham and Kiratarjuniya has been taken in this is not only do both these Mahākāvyas are in alignment with the Bharatiya perspective of Kavya, both in terms of the physical or featuristic description of Mahakavya, Sargabandho Mahakavyam. So it's a featuristic description of Mahakavya, and both Kiratarjuniya and Śiśupālavadham of Bhāravi and Māgha respectively. They both convey this one. They both have these kind of features. Therefore, they qualify to be Mahakavyas. Not only in this perspective, but also when it comes to delivery of Chaturvarga Phala, that is Chaturbhadramaya Jivana, both of them deliver it in a very unique style. Very quickly, I want to highlight what two portions or what exact portions from these two Mahakavyas have been taken up for today's discussion. The second chapter, in fact, it begins in the first chapter itself of Kiratarjunīyam. From first chapter where Draupadi begins to speak. Soon after Kiratarjuniya is the story taken from Mahabharata, which Bhāravi has incorporated into the more poetic style in order to highlight the the Pashupatastra Prapti of Arjuna. So that's the ultimate phala. That is what he is going to deliver. But the beginning of Kiratarjuniya is when Yudhishthira had sent a messenger. He had sent a person to know the howabouts of Duryodhana's kingdom, Duryodhana's governance. And he comes back and he delivers the report. And that's how the Kiratarjuniya Mahakavya begins. It begins with the report given by the Vanechara. And upon hearing that report, it was not like it was delivered. That report was delivered in private. It was actually heard by all his brothers and wife. So immediately after Draupadi and Bhima, Arjuna, all of them here, it is Draupadi who becomes more kind of enthusiastic to share her views. So she doesn't hold back. So these are some of the facts that might surprise few people, especially those who are very new to Bharatiya perspective of Kavyas and Arthashastra as well. Never have women been kept away or kept out of such kind of decisions and discussions related to statecraft. We hear from the time of Ramayana, we hear Tara was such a great advisor to Vali and later on to Sugriva as well. So we see these things. These are the byproducts from which we enjoy free of cost reading our Mahakavyas and Itihasas and Puranas. Now coming back to this one, Draupadi wants Yudhishthira to take a firm decision. And Bhimasena, he seconds her thought. he substantiates Draupadi's take on the report that has been presented in front of them. Yudhishthira has not yet made a decision, but both of them, they are kind of pushing, and we can sense that in the shlokas, the way the poet has pushed it, the way poet has presented it, it clearly indicates that it is being pushed by both Draupadi as well as Bhimasena, that Yudhishthira must take a decision and he cannot postpone the decision. So these are the kind of pressure that we usually experience. It should be an immediate decision that needs to be taken. And when the pressure builds up, we can understand that how easy it is to break when the pressure is mounting on us. And when the pressure is coming from the closest of circles, it is even more difficult to find that clarity of thought. Yudhishthira, on the other hand, he finds the clarity and he substantiates his decision as well. But we have to see a little bit of pressure as well. This is one set of the scenario that we find in Kiratarjunīyam, which is in a certain way, if we think, it is more humanized, because all these characters we do feel that we can associate with them, we can relate with them. Whereas when it comes to Śiśupālavadham, again, it begins in almost in the same fashion, but the report, the one who was the reporter was of a different status. He was Narada himself. In the first sarga of Śiśupālavadham, Narada brings about the report of the Dushtatana and all those things, Dushkrityas that are going on, and he urges Krishna to take a decision. And at the same time, Krishna had also received an invitation from Yudhishthira himself to attend the yaga. Now, Yakshamanena Ahutaha Parthenatha Muram Dvishan Muram Abhichaidyam Pratishthasuhu Asit Karyadvayakulaha. So here we see how Magha kind of makes a humanized version. He has tried his level best to bring about that human form or human ability in Krishna. If we do not see Krishna in this second sarga of Śiśupālavadham from the human lens, it might be very difficult for us to understand the takeaway lessons of decision making. Krishna himself, keeping things aside, keeping the things that are told in the Kavya aside, Krishna himself is capable enough to kartum, akartum, anyatha kartum. He is all samartha. He is Prabhu. There is no doubt about that. But in the poetic perspective, when a poet presents it, this is the brilliance of our Kavya, that they make it look like a human is willing to take a decision. It is not to demean the status of Bhagavan Sri Krishna here. It is only to ensure that for posterity, for all the upcoming generations, they could relate with this kind of a situation. Now, the situation is slightly different from what we see in Kiratarjunīyam. In Kiratarjunīyam, it is more about respect, the lost respect, and it's more about paurusham, to show that we have to show our strength. We have been meek and we have surrendered very easily, and this is not the time to surrender. This is the time for action. And the main accusation, if I can say so, or the complaints that both Draupadi as well as Bhima had towards Yudhishthira was his inability to act, or his inactiveness, his inactive decisions. He never took a decision that was proactive. And these are some of the words that are also quite often used in these circles, that decisions should be proactive. It has to deliver the results immediately. So we have gotten used to this constant, not only in the food sector, but also in every sector. This constant and immediate results is what is driving many a times. And this is a strong reminder that no matter whatever the situation is, especially when it comes from the closest of circles, we feel that yes, maybe they are right, and we have to take the decision at the earliest. But Yudhishthira highlights that the significance of long-term vision, and not to sacrifice that long-term vision at any point of time. And there is an interesting take that he mentions of all the things that Draupadi and Bhima say. So most important ones are Nripasya. The poet is, Bharavi is excellent when he mentions what is the intention, what was the intention of Draupadi and Bhima speaking. Nripasya manyovyavasaya deepini udajahara drupadatmaja giraha. Now, even though she said her sole intention was to ignite that fire of anger in Yudhishthira. As Yudhishthira, if we put ourselves in the place of Yudhishthira, if someone is trying to provoke us or ignite that anger in us, which might be called for, I'm not saying that it is not uncalled. It was definitely called for. If we read that context, if we understand the context, the kind of humiliation that Pandavas have gone through, especially Draupadi, anybody in her position would want Yudhishthira, the decision maker, to get that anger. And there is nothing wrong from her perspective when she puts forth all these arguments. And Bharavi very clearly mentions that it is Manyu Vyavasaya Deepini. The brilliance of Bharatiya Kavis, exists in this word, in these sort of words, in the Samastapadas, in the compounded words that they bring, where they include the idea and dismiss any sort of misinterpretations. They don't leave any room for misinterpretations. Manyu Deepinihi Giraha is a different thing. Manyu Vyavasaya Deepinihi Giraha is completely different. She did not only want Yudhishthira to get angry. That is not the purpose. But with that anger, after having got that Manyu, he has to start work. He has to become active. He has to take a decision. So that Vyavasaya word has been put forth here. Very beautifully, Bharavi has included that word, Manyu Vyavasaya. Manyuna yad ye ye vyavasaya bhavitum arhanti. So after having got, by the reason, by the cause of Manyu, what all actions Yudhishthira could take, she wanted to ignite those actions, not just the Manyu. And she makes a very detailed argument. She puts forth all these things. And then there is a list of things that she mentions, like, inactivity as dumbness. She calls inactivity as dumbness when it comes to Yudhishthira's delayed decision makings and all. And then this ends the first sarga, and in the beginning of second sarga, Bhima substantiates whatever Draupadi has said. And then he mentions Satutatra Vishesha Durlabhaha Sadupanyasyati Krityavartmayaha. See, you may feel that we are only trying to kind of ignite your anger, but we are not only trying to ignite your anger, we are here to support you if you need to chalk out any plans that you have. Okay. And then we will very quickly move on to Yudhishthira's decision and his long-term vision, because that is what makes Yudhishthira such a great figure. And the way he handled that pressure, he soaked up all the pressure. It was coming from Bhima as well as from Draupadi. See, he could have ignored, to put it on a lighter note, he could have ignored the kind of words that Bhima spoke, because he's aware of Bhima's enthusiasm, his courage, his anger, his press for action. He knows that. Now, how will he ignore Draupadi? Because the 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 most humiliation that any one of them have gone through in comparison was Draupadi. No other person within Pandavas had gone through the kind of embarrassment and humiliation that Draupadi had gone through. And if she is speaking, it's not just a matter of consoling her. She is asking for him to take a decision, so he cannot ignore her. At the same time, he cannot directly dismiss her plea, her whatever requirements or whatever presentation that she has done. He cannot dismiss. She says that duradhayah, all these things are dushtaha adhayah. This is what is making me speak. Manobhishangaha, adhayah manobhishangaha. The kind of pain that has been inflicted on my mind is what is making me say all these things, is what Draupadi says. And then because it was all driven from the pain that she had underwent in her mind. So the answer that he gives is also on the similar line. Upakarakam ayater bhrasham. Ayatehe bhrasham upakarakam. So if someone is looking for prosperity, long-term growth, not just a short-term solution, but a long-term growth, if someone is eyeing for a long-term stability and growth, and it is bhurinaha karma phalasya prabhavaha, and that decision has to be, or the kind of things that we take up, that has to be bhurinah karma phalasya prabhavaha. It should be the beginning. It should kickstart great things. The decision that we take today should kickstart great things. Even when Kalidasa mentions that phalanumeya prarambha, the prarambha that we do should only be known with the kind of outcomes that it fetches. So for that, anapayi nibarhanam dvisham, and it is anapayi. It doesn't possess any sort of apaya where we are losing any ground. There is no room for us to lose the ground, but at the same time, it also increases our chances of long-term stability. So, I mean, there are many such things that Yudhishthira mentions. Throughout his response to both Bhima and Draupadi. But this one is outstanding. This one stands out because what caused Draupadi to speak was Duradhaya. She mentions it herself that it is Duradhaya, the kind of pain that she has underwent. That is what has made her speak all these things. So he is answering her, and without directly addressing or without directly telling her that your decision or your call for decision is absolutely wrong. He's not saying that to her on her face, but he's mentioning that there is something that we need to focus, and we are missing on some point, certain important point. And these are all the adjectives that he's mentioning for that important point that he wants to highlight. It is upakarakam. It is something that helps us to achieve and accomplish greater things in long term. That is basically, it ensures that long term stability. And bhurinah karma bhalasya prabhavaha. It also kickstarts a series of great outcomes. And then it is anapayi. It doesn't destroy our own strong footing, and it will keep us intact. And dvisham nibarhanam. This is the fourth adjective that he uses. Dvisham nibarhanam. It also removes the enemies. It also dismisses all these things. Whatever enmity that could be there, it can be defeated with this sadhana. And what is that? Na titiksha samamasti sadhanam. There is no other tool or instrument better than titiksha in order to achieve all these things. Now, interestingly, when we hear the word titiksha, one might be drawn towards the Vedantic perspective, sadhana chatushtaya, and all these kind of things. However, the kind of titiksha that is needed while taking a firm decision that is going to make or leave a long-lasting impact in future, one needs to develop that ability of titiksha. So without titiksha, the perseverance should be there. It is momentary. At this moment, we may have to hold back. We may have to cling on to certain difficult decisions or difficult times. But in the long run, if it is going to make us, if it is going to help us, then we should not, kind of sacrifice that titiksha. That's why he says that na titiksha samamasti sadhanam. There is nothing equivalent to titiksha when it comes to the long-term things. And then in the immediate next shloka, these are the two shlokas that I wanted to highlight, and then we will very quickly move on to Śiśupālavadham. The next shloka, he highlights the strength that we have. How do we calculate strength, or how do we understand our strength if we have to hold on to this strong decision making? So basically, in this previous shloka that I mentioned, when he said natitiksha samamasti sadhanam, he's calling for patience. That's all. He's not saying that. He's saying that we should not take a decision in haste and we should hold back the decision. This is not the right time for us to go and attack Hastinapura or Duryodhana. So he's basically asking for holding back. Even at this moment, even when they have Manyuvyavasaya Deepini, Giraha has also been told, he's still holding on for that. Then he mentions the strength. This is about what is the action that we are going to take. This is the decision made by Yudhishthira. It almost highlights the kind of decision that he has made, which translates later on. After making that decision, there should be something that actually makes him quite confident for taking up this decision. What is the root cause of that confidence that Yudhishthira had, which made him take such a firm decision? So in the immediate next shloka, he highlights that, the poet highlights that, Pranati Pravanan Naha Vihaya Sahajasneha Nibaddha Manasaha Chetasaha Pranamanti Sada Suyodhanam Prathame Manabhratam Navrishnayah. You see, Duryodhana might have the kingdom at this moment. He might have the reins of the kingdom at this moment. We may have nothing in our hands at this moment. And yet, you see the Vrishnaya, you see the ones who matter the most. He considers Vrishnaya, and not just in terms of endearment that they shared or the kind of bond that they shared, not out of that. Even otherwise, the Vrishnaya had the invincible army at that time, and they were very strong. They had never lost any battle. So this is the sort of strategic decision that he had to take. And he says that we witness that they still respect us, and we don't see them kind of pranamanti sada na suyodhanam, but they always are very courteous to us. They're always very friendly with us, and we have a very cordial relationship with them. That highlights that the decision that we have taken is the right thing. If not, then they would also have pressed for an immediate decision making, which would have resulted in chaos. So it's not just about taking decisions, it's also about keeping our eyes and ears open, and that to have that comprehensive outlook, that 360-degree outlook while taking the decision. And if we have made the decision under pressure, it should not be by sacrificing certain points. And Yudhishthira did not sacrifice. The greatest strength that Pandavas had throughout their miserable portion of life was Krishna. And he just did a sort of inference that if Krishna is with us, and if they have not parted ways with us, and if they have not gone with the Kauravas, it goes on to show that we must be doing something right. If we are not doing something right, then our friends, or whom we consider as allies, will not stick with us. They will always desert us. They will always abandon us. If we are not being abandoned by our allies, it goes on to show that we have taken a firm decision. So these are some of the undertone that Bharavi mentions. Why so much of focus has been put on Bharavi, especially Kiratarjuniya. I have almost used 70% of my time talking about Kiratarjunīyam, and it might feel that it's not justice done to Śiśupālavadham, but the pressing issue that Yudhishthira faced was not the kind of same pressing issue that Krishna faced in Śiśupālavadham. We will come to that very shortly. So this goes on to highlight whether they are sitting, whether they have the crown or not, whether they are wearing the robes of a king or not. What makes a true leader is the kind of decisions that they take, whether in the adversity or in terms of prosperity. It doesn't matter. It's always the decisions that they take, and the repercussions of decisions. It should be ayatehe bhrisham upakarakam. So this is the highlighted point that we can see from Kiratarjuniya's perspective. And Bharavi is known for Artha Gauravam. So he packs a lot of stuff in one shloka. it's like, it has got plenty of potential, each and every shloka. So that's the style in which Bharavi has delivered his entire kavya. Therefore, much time is needed to dig deeper into Bharavi's kavyas to understand the kind of nuances that he has brought of Arthashastra into the Mahakavya. Now we move on to the Śiśupālavadham, where the dilemma was, it may seem quite a simple dilemma that Krishna had, that he has been invited by Yudhishthira to attend a yaga, a yajna, which qualifies as a yagadireva dharma. So it qualifies as a dharmika kriya or dharmika karma. And then abhichaidyam pratishthasu. And there's also an increasing menace of Śiśupāla. Chaidya is Śiśupāla. So on one hand, Śiśupāla's influence or a wrong influence of Śiśupāla is rising. And Krishna had to make a decision between these two. Should I should I accept the invitation extended by Yudhishthira to attend the yaga? Or should I go against Śiśupāla in order to decide, in order to kind of put an end to Śiśupāla? So this was the question that he had, and he had to take a decision. Now he individually, he was capable enough to take a decision. It's not that anybody would have challenged his decision or anybody would have said no to his decision. But what we see here is, again, the highlighting point that poet Māgha has brought in here is the importance of mantra. Mantra Shakti is what makes a king a real decision maker, a true great decision maker. It is mantranam. Mantranam is counseling, to keep the counsel of good people around them. So at that moment, Krishna had two of them. One was Balarama, his elder brother. Another one was Uddhava. Not only Uddhava was his friend, but he was also a kind of sachiva, a kind of minister. Minister in the sense, he may not have held that position of a minister, but he was always there to give valuable inputs in these kind of situations. So he proposes this question in front of both of them, and he asks each one of them to present an argument. And we we see how Balarama speaks. Now, Balarama says that we have to get rid of Śiśupāla. His approach is more direct. So many a times it's not, the pressure is not only when from all corners they are pressing for the same issue, they are asking for the same decision to be made. That's not the only pressure. Even when there is quite different opinions on the same topic, and if we take the modern day parameters, and if we go for a poll, and if we get with the result that 40% of them are saying yes, and around 38% are saying no, and the remaining are saying maybe. So even if we eliminate the maybes, the yes and no, almost they are on the similar weighing scale. That makes decision making even more tougher. That was the kind of situation that Krishna had in this situation, and he genuinely asked both of them, both Balarama and Uddhava, and then he sided with Uddhava's decision. Why? Because Uddhava's decision was that we should go to the yaga, because the invitation extended by Yudhishthira should be kept in mind. Now, this has a very deeper dharmic background. That's where I wanted to bring in. This is what IKS can actually, or Indian knowledge system, or Bharatiya Shastra Parampara, the major difference that one can easily find out between all types of political strategies and decisions and policy making and all these things on one side, and what is that great thing, or what is that one thing that Indian knowledge systems or our Bharatiya Shastras can contribute on this, what crown jewel can be put atop on all these things, is the dharmic perspective. Then Arthashastra, as we speak, it never sacrifices dharma. It keeps dharma at the heart and core. It is almost the crux of Rajadharma or Rajaniti. If it has to be a proper Rajaniti, then it has to revolve, it has to kind of be born out of Dharma. And it will be the whole design of Dandaniti or the whole design of Rajaniti itself is for the preservation of Dharma. So if we do not, as long as we do not have the complete understanding of Dharma, as long as we do not know that it is leading us towards that dharma or the preservation and propagation of dharma, that is the primary duty of all the decisions that we take. Not only a king, any decisions that we take, it has to be towards dharma. It should definitely include a dharmic perspective. When I say dharmic perspective, if as I mentioned, that chaturvarga phala prapti, that is dharma, that is the manava sahaja dharma. For all human beings, for all creatures, that is the natural condition that we have to attain, to accomplish those four purusharthas. And those four purusharthas should not be kind of compromised. They should not be left out in any decisions that we make. We saw how the just to draw the conclusion from both these things. I know Śiśupālavadham has not been given too much of time because it was very clear. It is said that anahuto adhvarangachet. Even when someone has not extended an invitation, one should go to yajna. And yajna rakshanam is going to translate into praja samrakshanam, which is the primary duty of a king. And let alone Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who was there for Dushta Shikshana and Shishta Rakshana and Dushta Samhara. He was there for that main purpose. And Dharmasya Glani and Adharmasya Unnati, when it happened, and in order to preserve that Dharma, his entire avatar is for Dharma Samrakshanarthaya. We see a very clarity in that decision. It is not that difficult to understand why Krishna went ahead with Uddhava's mantra lochanam. But when it comes to Yudhishthira taking that titiksha, holding back kind of thing, and immediately the shloka that I mentioned, which kind of highlights what exactly, why exactly he had to take that decision, that Vrishnayaha Suyodhanam na prathame pranamanti. They never, we don't see any sort of respect in the hearts of Vrishnis towards Duryodhana. But on the other side, they have remained with us through thick and thin. Yato yatah Krishnas tato dharma, yato dharmas tato jayaha. It's a very famous line that we hear. So Krishna is the indication of dharma. And because Krishna was on the side of Pandavas, Yudhishthira had the bigger vision. He had the Dirgha Drishti. He had that, Gambhira Drishti. He could see it deep down, and he has understood that if Krishna is sticking with us, it means that we are on the path of dharma. And as a decision maker, even at that point, even under such an enormous pressure coming from within, from the closest of circles possible, Yudhishthira did not sacrifice dharma. Yudhishthira did not let go of dharma and jumped on to the conclusion or jumped on to an impulsive decision that yes, we should go ahead and hurt them where it hurts the most. It's not that they were not capable enough to come up with a tactic or a strategy to eliminate one of the 100 brothers or one of the Dushta Panchakam, whomever it is. They could have easily done that. Those who can stay in disguise for a year, they can easily go as an assassin themselves or hire an assassin and get one of them eliminated. That's how it would be a pratikara that could have been done. But no, Yudhishthira was very firm that he had this vision of dharma at all times. So to not sacrifice dharma, that is the timeless lesson that we get when it comes to decision making under any sort of pressure, whether the pressure is caused due to two different and contrasting ideas and suggestions, or whether it is the pressure caused by the closest of circles, the closest aides that we have, the closest allies that we have. And when they are asking for an action, And especially Draupadi's intention itself was so very clear that we want to ignite that krodha, that manu in you. So if such is the kind of situation, in both these situations, we find that a decision maker should not sacrifice dharma. And that is the greatest contribution that IKS or Indian knowledge systems, the drishtikonam or the perspective, the darshana that um, Bharatiya Shastras have, Bharatiya Artha Shastra has, or Niti Shastra has, is do not sacrifice dharma for the sake of being politically strong or taking a bold step. That should be at the back end of every decision. So I was hearing Dr. Nagaraj's keynote speech as well. So when we have to take a look at the modern context, when officers who occupy good positions and when they have to make a decision, the dharmika drishti has to be there. If that dharma drishti, or if that adherence to dharma, subscription to dharma is missing, then all these brilliant ideas that have been provided in Arthashastra and Niti Granthas and all other sources that we have, they would be of no use if they are not utilized from the drishtikona, from the perspective, from the lens of dharma. If we fail to see all these things without the lens of dharma, then we would have not made any progress, is what I would like to say. So with these words, that dharma is at the core, is at the heart of the decision making. That is what we get from taking a look at both Śiśupālavadham as well as Kiratarjunīyam. With these words, I would like to conclude my talk. If there are any questions, the participants can type in the questions in the chat box and we can take a few questions.
Thank you very much, Guha ji. I checked in the question and answer box. There are no questions particularly towards your talk. So let us. Pragati Yadav ji just sent a question, comment. I think dharma is ethical decision making. I will convert the statement to a question. Is dharma ethical decision making? Can
Yes.
we can take that as that question?
Yes, definitely. It is kind of a muscle memory kind of answer. It doesn't require any thought at all. Even if we wake up in the deepest of our sleep, if someone asks this question, is dharma, the answer is yes. Dharma is everything. So,